Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to my first tutorial. I've had a few requests of people wanting to know how I actually do my motorcycle photos. So I've decided to chuck up a full tutorial and the process I go through. Now this is a simplified process, so obviously I do it a little bit more detailed, but this is just the basics to get you started. Alright, the tools you're going to need. You're going to need a DSLR. You're going to need an LED light. I use a Softbox with 124 LED light inside it. You'll see that on the video soon. A wireless remote or a remote and a tripod. Now the remote and the tripod are to keep the camera as still as possible because you don't want the camera moving at all. Yes, it's possible to align the images in Photoshop later, but we'd rather not do that. Alright, now for the camera settings. When taking these photos, you want to set it in manual mode. Set the ISO to 100. I use roughly f16 because it's just the right f-stop to kind of let the right amount of light in for me at least. And exposure I have at 10 seconds. Now these are all kind of, you can fiddle and change these settings up a bit, but these are just kind of the base that I use, and I'm using a 50mm. Okay, for this image I've got 6 shots. So with these sorts of images, when you're light painting, because we're going to actually take it into post and take it into Photoshop and you're going to merge them together, you want to start off with a base image. This is my base image, so no lights, nothing, just 10-second exposure. Okay, first image we're going to do is the top shot. So grab your light and just run it across the top of the bike. And you should get something like this. Second image, I'm going to do the front. I'm going to do exactly the same thing, just run the light up and down the bike. And then let it do its thing. The third image, going to do the same thing, but for the back. So once you've actually gone up and down once, just take the image out, take the light out of the image. So that's the back. Now second last one, we're going to do the top. So here I'm standing in front of the light box, so just make sure you cover that light and then just run it back and forward. That's what we get. For the last image we're going to do exactly the same thing, but just down the bottom. Now the softbox gives these nice reflections off it, and you'll see, there we go, last image. Alright, now let's take all our images into Photoshop. Alright, here we are in Photoshop now. I've got 6 images as you saw, so just select them and then drag them into Photoshop. If you've got RAW, you'll come up with the camera RAW panel and then just hit OK for all images. I've already brought them all in. So I've got my 6 images up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, now we've got our base image. So the first image we want to lay over is the front of the bike. So go to that image, hit Control A, press Control C, and hit Control V over here. Now change the layer mode to lighten. Now with the layer mode on lighten, create a new mask over here, select your brush tool, make sure it's on black, and then just start brushing that out. There we go. Now we're going to do the same thing over here. Grab the back next, Control C, well Control A, Control C, and then Control V. And then for this one just hit lighten. Because we don't have actually anything to brush out in this one, we're not going to create a layer mask on it. So that's the first 2 images done. Pretty simple. Alright, third image. We are going to use the top side. So select it, Control C, Control V on there, and just hit lighten. Now we don't actually have to rub anything out on this one, so erase anything, so we can actually leave this one as is. Obviously if you're taking more photos or kind of highlighting different areas, you might have more shots and highlight different bits. You know, the way you also kind of run your light across the bike will highlight it differently. Right, for the last one down here, we are actually gonna set that to lighten and create a layer mask on it. And then we're gonna hit Alt Backspace, and what that'll do is that'll set the layer mask to black, so that'll make it invisible. Now we want to change our brush tool to white, and I've just shrunk it down a little bit, and then just slowly brush over the bits you kind of want to bring in. See, I don't want to bring this in down here, so brush that over the top. I'll bring some up there. You know, you can kind of bring some down here, add extra detail and depth all the way down here, and then down in the wheels, so that's where we actually added a lot more light. Down in the wheels, you can see that's just bringing that back, just giving us that effect. Now if you've gone too much, like I think I have there, just put it on the black again and then just go down. See, that's I think too much that way, so just gonna bring it back some more, like that, but not too much. So that's those two images finished. Now for our last image, what we want to do is we want to bring this one in. So Control A to select, Control C, and then Control V. Now we want to create a layer mask. We want to set that to lighten, and we want to hit Control Backspace this time to get rid of the layer, or to hide it. Now take your brush tool again. Now we want to shrink it this time, and we just kind of want to bring in the tops of the bikes, just these highlights up the top. Now you don't want to go too far because we've got lights up the top there, so this will just give it a nice kind of effect up the top. Kind of bring the handlebars in, and the front of the bike, and the mirror. Now what I normally do is I'll normally actually select around this, kind of block it out, so I can just take a larger brush tool and go down under it. But if you're careful, you can kind of do it without it. And there we are, our final image. And that's pretty much how you do it. Now if you want to get rid of the background, what I did to mine is I got the brush tool, got a black one, and pretty much just rubbed out all the bright spots with the brush. That just gives it a nice black background. Now after this, you can add a few curves adjustments. Just give it that little bit extra. Maybe just bring up the black, bring it down a bit, change the color on it, and yeah, that's your final image. So hopefully you've learned a few things. You can apply this pretty much to any motorbike, and it'll give you kind of a nice result. Now if you use a light with no softbox, you might have troubles kind of with really harsh light. It does give a different effect. If you want that, it is pretty good, but I find using a softbox just gives you those nice highlights. Alright, thanks guys, enjoy.